Hey, welcome back, everyone. Here with another show. And this is everything health, keto, intermittent fasting, nutrition. Keep the questions very simple. That would be great for me. Anything I say is not meant to diagnose or replace your medical care. Check with your doc before replacing any of your current medical care with what we're about to talk about.
Very
All
good.
right.
So that's great. And by the way, our producer, Terry, is a great grammarian, many decades of broadcast experience, but he throws these 17-syllable conditions at us, which is really very cruel because who knows about all that stuff. But anyway, great guy otherwise. Speaking of Terry, here's some of the stuff that he's provided for us. Questions from the audience. So we're going to start off with Cassidy from YouTube. I am a type 1 diabetic. Do the same rules of keto apply to me as they do to an average person? That's interesting.
Well, I just interviewed someone on this one topic. Stay tuned for it. But he was a fascinating interview. This doctor who actually not only was he a type 1 diabetic, but he ran 20 miles 5 days in a row and on no calories. He fasted for 5 days and he did fine. So the same rules apply. Same rules apply. There's all this false information that we need more carbs if we're a type 1 diabetic for some reason. Well, then you're going to just take more insulin. The whole goal is to take the least amount of insulin because that extra insulin creates more problems. So yeah, it's the same rules, but of course, because you don't have insulin, then you have no way of controlling your carbs when you eat. So you have to monitor that level. And there's one condition with type 1 diabetes that we should bring up. It's called diabetic ketoacidosis. And that's a situation where you forget to take your insulin and you're a type 1 and your ketones are out of control. So they go way, way, way too high. But that condition is not going to occur if you control your blood sugars with your medication. And it's definitely not going to occur if you're not a diabetic. So you don't have to worry about that.
Wonderful. Well, listen, we have 4 esteemed guests in the green room this show, which is one more than usual. So we want to get to them a little early. And Emily, who's from Vista, California, Southern California, near where I used to live, not that that matters, she's got a little baby with her. So let's see if we can't help her and get her on the air first. And Emily, if you would unmute yourself and go ahead with your question in between your mom duties.
Thank you. Hi, Dr. Berg. I can't seem to lose weight anymore with fasting. Did really well with it before, then had 2 babies. I stopped nursing in December and tried to go back to fasting, and I can't lose any of the weight.
Are you doing OMAD or what's your fasting schedule?
I first and foremost make sure I'm not pushing myself too far because sometimes it will send me into a migraine. So I've done some OMAD. I did my first 36-hour fast. I did like a 16-8 multiple days in a row. So it's a little bit of everything.
Got it. And then as far as your keto plan, do you feel that your carbs are low enough?
Sometimes.
What is the area of the weakness that you run into as far as carbs?
Probably breads and pastas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think this would be a great just example to bring up because this is why I interviewed this person who lost 1 pound of fat per day. That would be incredible, wouldn't it? But how do you do that? Because you would have to run 20 miles, which you probably don't have time to do that. And you probably would have to eat nothing. So are you still breastfeeding?
No.
Okay. So I think what I would work on, because when you actually go through pregnancy or actually you deliver, you have this spike of estrogen that pops up. It interferes with your metabolism. Estrogen does contribute to certain types of fat. So now the question is, how do we get back to where you were? But what really happens is that your metabolism becomes very efficient. So You're probably not very excited about that. Oh, I have a very efficient metabolism. So you can run a long period of time with just a little bit of fat. So we want to waste more fat. I'm just going to run through all the things that I would recommend just to improve your metabolism, not improve your metabolism, but help you waste more fat. I would work on getting into what's called keto adaptation a little bit more, to the point where it's easier to do fasting. That does take weeks, but it's dependent on how many carbs that you eat when you eat. So maybe finding substitutes for those carbs, because the problem is that all it takes is a little bit of carbs to knock you out of fat burning for a longer period of time. So let's say every third day you're having a little more carbs, that can really be a problem. So I would, some women are just trying to make it simple, and they'll just have they might even do carnivore for a while, or they might do other things that are real simple, and really rearrange your house so you don't have these carbs available. The other thing is adding in twice a week, high intensity interval training, just to start to stimulate the exercise, but don't do it more than twice a week. But when you do it, do it really good. In between that, do long walks, and then try to get an extra hour of sleep. That might just help a lot.
Good luck.
And then the other thing too is that, great on the fasting. It sounds like you have a good pattern, but to make fasting easier, sometimes it's helpful if when you do eat, you just add a little more fat to go longer. But over time, it's going to be easier to fast. If you're having any problems fasting for a longer period of time, all that means is that you have to either lower your carbs when you eat, or just give it more time and then build up to that. But those are just some simple things that I would recommend right now, until you watch my video that's going to be coming out in 1 to 2 weeks on how to lose 1 pound of fat per day.
Wow. Well, I hope that helps out Emily, and we appreciate you can get back to wrangling the children, which is a wonderful mama's duty. And hope to hear back from you as well on some, great improvements and your opinion on Dr. Berg's pending video. So thanks a lot for coming up with us. Let's go back to social media. Sadow10 from Rumble. Thanks again for Rumble. We welcome that into our basket of choices for you folks to watch the show. I can best diagnose an iron deficiency when I am suffering from chronic inflammation. Is there a connection?
You just brought up, I guess, one of the first questions. So I'm going to wait on that. So maybe you can give me another question, because I'm going to be talking about that topic in the first question.
All right, very good. Sadow10, stand by for more attention to that subject. Stuart from Facebook, what's the best way to increase my energy levels?
Not with an energy drink. So many people try to bypass the natural, I guess it's homeostasis of the body, your body's ability to maintain stability from the internal to the external. So you have blood pressure, you have sleep levels, circadian waves, you have temperature, you have blood glucose, you have all these different factors. And if you're trying to get energy artificially, that's a really bad thing. And I think, that's kind of forcing your body to, try to do things that it's not normally supposed to do, because you can get energy by doing an energy drink. So I'm just saying that because so many people are doing the 5-hour energy drinks and stuff like that. I think the most important thing, based on what I know about energy, is, number one, your sleep has to be really good. Number two, you have to have enough protein. Number three, you have to not go crazy with the carbs. And really, we're dealing with the mitochondrial health. And I have a lot of data on that. So very simply, go back to my videos and to make sure that your diet is squared away and your sleep is good. Those two things are going to help generate a lot of energy. I was suffering with fatigue for many, many years. And so I can relate to that. But of course, all those muffins in the morning, I don't know, that I didn't connect the dots. That was making me very tired until I started doing a protein breakfast. And that just release tons of energy immediately. Of course, now I don't even need to do a breakfast. I can just have my first meal at lunchtime.
Well, that's great. By the way, we cannot not mention the beautiful studio. Each week it evolves, and you've added more lights and gadgets. It just looks gorgeous. Last week, people complained that my voice was more prominent than yours, and that can't happen on the Dr. Berg Show. So you got that squared away. Your mic sounds great. And now, finally, can you tell us about, because your studio, we won't say where, but you're connected with a lot of farm living. Tell us a little bit about what's going on the farm.
Oh, yeah. Recently, unfortunately, we had this, we have like 38 sheep, and one of the sheep got tangled in some twine inside the hay bale, little round thing, and didn't make it, unfortunately. And then the hay was on top of her, so we didn't see her for a few days. Well, she had two babies. One baby didn't make it. The other one could barely walk. So, of course, Karen came in to the rescue and started doing bottle feeding. And so then she recently said, well, I got to go somewhere for 5 days. So she left me with the sheep. So she's like, make sure you have, 4 times a day bottle feeding. Make sure you give that sheep a lot of exercise. I'm like, I don't have time for all that stuff. So I'm stuck babysitting a baby lamb. So I had this great idea. So I just, I think my thought is, well, let me allow this baby sheep to go with the other sheep, right? So this morning, when I tried to go out there to feed this baby lamb, which is really tiny, this bottle of milk, I got my exercise, Steve, because first of all, it was a half a mile away on the farm, and I had to chase this herd of sheep all the way down a hill, up down a hill, till finally I found the baby sheep, fed the baby sheep. So maybe this wasn't the best idea in the world, but I'm getting my exercise, having a lot of fun doing it. But it's something I did, you don't expect these things. So, I mean, I got things to do, right? So I'll just continue this fun activity until Karen gets back to free me up. But these things happen on the farm all the time, so you don't expect them. You can't prepare for them.
All right. Well, I don't want to make any suggestions, but what if have you considered sheep hamburger? And then when Karen comes back, you say, I haven't seen the darn thing, and
Yeah, Steve, I'll relay that to her and see how she calls you back with that one.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, no, that sweet little sheep. I'm sure it's fun to chase it around, but you are a busy guy. All right, let's go to our first quiz question of the day. And everybody seems to have been preempting it with questions, and there it is.
Okay. True or false? Excessive iron can severely lower your testosterone.
All right, audience.
Is that true or false?
All right, true or false, sir? That's an easy one. Let's see. Tamara from Rumble, what's the best remedy for gastric cardiac syndrome? I haven't heard of that one.
Well, I think what I would do is I would take something called betaine hydrochloride with the meals. I would take probably 5 of those little guys right before a meal. There's this interesting connection between your digestive system and the heart, and also the liver and the bile ducts and the heart. They're right kind of connected, they're close together. So when you have incomplete digestion, or maybe even bile sludge in your little bile ducts, which is very common, that can back up, create congestion in the heart, and you could start having heart symptoms from your digestion. So one great remedy is to make sure that you're not having any indigestion by taking more betaine hydrochloride, and that can be taken right before a meal. But the other thing relates to the bile ducts. Tutka is a great remedy to open up those ducts to make sure that you don't have this backup into the liver, which is causing pressure on the heart. So Tutka, you take that in an empty stomach, twice a day, and that seems to resolve a lot of problems within your gallbladder ducts and that associated area. And a lot of people don't even know they have that problem, but they get a lot of bloating and a fullness underneath their right rib cage. So I have a lot of videos on the gallbladder. You have to search that out, but that's what I would recommend.
All right, very good. Let's congratulate the audience on their lightning fast answers. Usual for the first question, a true falser. Excess iron can severely lower your testosterone, and 88% of our respondents say that it's true. 12% are holding out for not true.
It's really true. You don't necessarily have to have a genetic mutation or problem with iron to have this, but especially in men and women postmenopausal, iron is one mineral that is not easily extracted when you consume it. So, Steve, I'm getting a little feedback. I don't know where that's coming from.
Huh.
So when you have this iron, it basically creates a lot of inflammation and it can suppress your testosterone. So this relates to red meat, so I'm totally for red meat. But if you have an iron overload, you might want to consume more poultry or other foods that are not high in iron as much. Maybe certain lean fish would be better than poultry because of the omega-6 fatty acids. But that's just a factor to look at. And then some people even donate blood and all of a sudden they feel a lot better. So that being said, it's a good idea sometimes to get your iron levels and ferritin checked just to make sure that that's not an issue.
All right, very good. We've got a great national group. We've got a nice young lady from Azerbaijan. We've got someone from Germany, which is time for us to read. And we'll get to all of you, of course. And the time now is to acknowledge all the people, including those two places, that are with us this morning watching. So we'd like to say a good morning to all our viewers joining us this morning from the UK, Canada, Mexico, South Africa, Jamaica, Albania, Jordan, Armenia, Greece, Tunisia, I guess, Turkey, Poland, the Netherlands, Ethiopia, Iran, Switzerland, Scotland, Portugal, Oman, Egypt, Chile, Nicaragua, Belgium, Norway, Pakistan, Islamabad, Taiwan, Malaysia, Brunei, Finland, Austria, the Czech Republic, Ireland, Qatar, or Qatar, as some people call it, the Cayman Islands. And here you go. Stefan, Germany is listed here, so there's others watching from Germany. The Virgin Islands, Guyana, Panama, Italy, Austria, Sweden, Tanzania, the Republic of Congo, Kenya, India, Bermuda, Eritrea, Croatia, Tunisia, France, Slovakia, Paraguay, South Africa, Dubai, Cyprus, the United Arab Emirates, Sri Lanka, the Dominican Republic, Morocco, Aruba, Israel, Uzbekistan, Japan, Spain, and all across these United States. And we usually hear from a few more to say, hey, what about us? So we welcome your input. And I tell you what, let's go ahead and keep the trend of going to our green room early, because Stefan from Germany, his lovely wife is with him, and this conversation is about an issue that she's having. So if you unmute yourself, Stefan, we're going to put you and your wife on to the Dr. Berg Show, and go ahead with your question.
Well, thank you. So my wife is experiencing severe facial neuropathy, and she has it about since 14 years now, with a permanent pain. It always starts with a teeth issue and then prolongs for a long time. And now we tried a lot of things and wondered whether keto or fasting, and which of both would work with it and help her in this condition with strong nerve pain.
What side of the face is it on?
On the right side of her face, at this time, like the upper jaw.
Okay. Looks like the trigeminal nerve.
Exactly.
So I did a video on this, but there's this little nerve bundle called a ganglion, which it could be a viral latency. It's called a virus that kind of comes out in remission back and forth that can then stir up inflammation on that nerve. There's a couple of things that I would do. Number one, I would massage on the right side, no, on the left side, the opposite side. I don't know if you tried that yet. Exactly where it originates from. And you press on the mirror image. That may help you a little bit. The other thing that I would recommend is, has there been any type of dental work related dental work done in that area on that side ever?
Yeah, a lot of.
Mm.
That's where it all started.
Okay, so then what you need to do is you need to find a dentist that specializes in how the teeth actually close to make sure that they're perfectly closing. Because I'll tell you, if the one tooth is just a little bit higher or a little lower, it can affect the entire jaw, the neck, the nerve. That's one situation. The other situation is if they did a root canal, there could be a deeper infection, which is really hard to find sometimes. And like, for example, when they do an X-ray, they can see certain types of like even bone loss underneath the tooth, because there's an infection there deep in the tooth that can literally keep that thing active. So these are just things I would look at, and you would have to find a really good dentist to evaluate that. Because I'll tell you, one problem with the tooth can easily create this ongoing problem that you'll spend the next 10 years trying to figure out. But yeah, I think that's what it's related to. The other thing that can relate to this is if she's deficient in B1, that can create neuritis, more of a sensitivity with a nerve. And that could be in the teeth or even in the trigeminal nerve. So you want high doses of vitamin B1, but make sure it's natural. That's what I would look at. And then I have done some recent videos on this to help put this potential virus back in remission. There's a remedy. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's called HCAA or something related to that. It's been a while since I've talked about that, but there's a remedy that has been, if this virus is a herpes virus, if that's even connected, then there's a remedy that can help clear that out of the body. And I did a whole video on that as well. So I hope that helps.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank
You're
you
welcome.
both. What a charming couple from Germany. And speaking from other places, we have every once in a while a complaint where they say, quit listing all the places people are listening. I mean, I'm an American. That's all that counts. And I didn't throw that last one there, but that's what I presume. Well, guess what? Dr. Berg and staff do not buy into that. And we love hearing from all the people around the world. And as a direct contradiction to what they say, we just got a shout out to our viewers from Bulgaria, St. Lucia, Iraq, Lebanon, Kuala Lumpur, and Bangladesh also want to be included in the lineup. So to heck with you people that just want to hear about your little corner of the woods. The world is a big place, and we love hearing that people all over the world from very different backgrounds and so on enjoy a healthy lifestyle. So we're all together with you, and the rest of you can eat cake. All right, or maybe you shouldn't do that. Let's see. How about Tasha from Rumble? We don't know where she's from. Are heirloom chickens and eggs the same as pasture-raised?
Well, I think it really depends on what you feed these chickens. I mean, this morning I was watching a chicken in the woods, one of our chickens, just eating worms and bugs and things like that. I mean, that would be the ideal situation. There is some feeds that are no soy, no corn. That would be the feed I would recommend for a chicken if you have chickens, or if you could work with a local farmer that cannot feed the chicken high amounts of soy and corn, because that will raise the omega-6 fatty acid levels, which I found out with my chickens. So I changed feed, and I'm going to do another test real soon. But that's important. And so I don't know if you're talking about your own chickens or someone else's chickens, but it's just terrible that when you like a cage-free chicken is ridiculous, because they might not have a cage, but they still have about a 12-inch space to live in. So it's terrible. So you want free range, which I think the definition of free range can be, if I'm not mistaken, 17 square feet, which is a little bit better. But I'd rather just find a farm that they let their chickens just go wherever.
All right, that's great. Let's see. Maria from YouTube, I am doing intermittent fasting and keto and watching your videos every day. That's a good thing to do. I am getting cramps in my calves, and lab tests indicate I'm dehydrated. what are your recommendations? I'm 55, obese, and menopausal. I'm sorry you've got all that going.
I think the first thing I would do is to do more salt. That would immediately hydrate you because you're going to drink more water. You're going to be more thirsty, and you need the salt to hydrate you. You know, there's a condition called hyponatremia, which is a lack of sodium. And you get that by drinking a lot of water and flushing out the sodium. And that can dehydrate you because you need the sodium to retain the fluid and other electrolytes. You can also have cramps if you're not having enough potassium or magnesium. So thus, this is why I recommend electrolytes on the ketogenic plan. So those are three things that you might want to look at. And there's always a lot of other things as well. But I would start with that.
Okay, very good. Let's go to quiz question number 2 for the day. And there you go.
All right. If we eat zero sugar in the diet and certain parts of our body require sugar, where does the sugar come from if you're not eating any sugar?
Now, that's a good question. All right, audience, dive on that, please. And let's go back to social media. I already asked that one. Tandem 12 from Rumble, what can you recommend to treat myopia?
I think the problem is that you're like me as well. When you do a lot of reading, you eventually need these right here. So getting outside, looking in the far distance, reversing this stuck, fixated view that a lot of people have on their computers. So I think it's a combination of a lot of screen time and reading and not enough looking in the distance to reverse that. Because what happens, there's a little muscle in the eye that becomes enlarged, and it starts to affect the shape of the lens, and it can actually create all sorts of issues. And I think, related to that topic, in fact, I'm just going to survey everyone right now. I am constantly reading so many different books. I'm usually reading like 10 books at a time, different chapters. I'll kind of rotate because I like that. Just it's very interesting. I'm interested in so many different topics. So what I was thinking about doing is summarizing the key parts of books and putting them into my daily newsletter. And if you think that's a good idea, let me know in the comments down below, because I don't know, I've found that in a lot of books that I read, 95% of it is just not useful to me. So what I want to do is start just kind of bypassing some of the things that are not going to be applicable and just grabbing the most important part of that book as it relates to health and different aspects of health, and then just summarizing that in simple terms, because sometimes you have to read other books to really make sense out of it. So if you're interested in that, let me know, because I'm thinking about doing that. I think it might be of value because it'll save you a lot of time reading some of these, technical books on health and making it simple. My wife said, well, is there any other books that you enjoy reading? I'm like, I can just dive into some medical textbook for hours and enjoy it. That's like my pleasure reading. And she reads other books. So if you think that's a good idea, let me know in the comments, and I'll start to do that.
All right, very good. Boy, look at the audience. I'm always so proud of them with their rapid quiz question answering. And the latest one, number 2, said, if we eat zero sugar in the diet and certain parts of our body require it, where does the sugar come from? It mysteriously appears 100% of our respondents say it's the liver or the process of gluconeogenesis. And I think I said that right.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's correct. So gluconeogenesis, gluco meaning sugar or glucose, neo, new, genesis, the creation of. So your body can make sugar out of fat and protein. You don't actually need sugar. It's not an essential thing. So if your body needs it, like your red blood cells, for example, they live on sugar. They can't live on ketones. So your liver will make it if it needs it. And there's this huge controversy of that we need sugar. And Steve, I'm getting some feedback again. I don't know why.
I'm not changing anything, but oops.
So what happens is that if our bodies were designed to really rely on this sugar, well, just take a look at one little point. The storage of sugar in our bodies is roughly around 1,700 calories. That's enough calories to get you through like one day of fasting. So, and then it goes away. And then what happens? Well, then our body turns over the fat burning, right? If our bodies were designed to live on sugar and not fat, then we would have been dead a long time ago. So our bodies have been very efficient at burning fat as, I believe, the main priority fuel over sugar. Sugar is more of a secondary fuel.
All right. Well, listen, let's keep up our roll with our enlarged green room participants. And Curly, are you ready to come on with us? Curly is originally from Michigan, but decided to get out of the snow. She's now in Georgia. And welcome to the show with a real brisk question, if you don't mind. Go ahead with your question, Curly.
Okay, I was wondering, I had my gallbladder removed a little over a year ago, and I didn't really totally understand its function. Now I'm wondering what I can do to compensate for not having a gallbladder.
Right. Good point. A lot of people don't even know what it's for. Sometimes people are told it's an extra thing we don't really need. Well, it's a sac that holds bile, and it helps to concentrate the bile. So when you eat certain foods, especially with fats, it contracts. It pushes it into this bile into the small intestine, where then it works to break down the fats. So then you can extract nutrients from the fat, like vitamin A, D, E, K1, K2, like omega-3 fatty acids that you need, right? So now that you don't have a gallbladder, you still are, you have this little tube that drains in the small intestine, but we don't get the concentrated amount anymore. So that means that you could potentially end up with a weakened concentration of bile and not having enough bile to extract some of these fats. So that makes your pancreas work harder to try to compensate, and we have this missing piece of the puzzle. So how would you know if you need bile? Well, a couple of reasons. Well, let's say you start noticing you're driving at night and you can't quite see in the dark that well because your vitamin A is low. Or you could be the stool floats. That means you're not digesting fat. The fat's it's in the stool that's making your stool float. It could also mean constipation. So these are all just indicators, in which case you would just take some bile salts after you eat. Just take a little bile salts after you eat, and now you solve the problem. Now, let's say you're taking too much bile salts. What's going to happen? You might get diarrhea. You might, well, that's pretty much a good indication that you have too much. And then you can make some adjustments based on that. That's some general rules of thumb.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Boy, you win the prize. Thank you, Curly. You can't shut me up, but you as a guest did
And
just
Steve,
perfect.
I was going to mention one more thing about that.
Go ahead.
Sometimes we do grow back a partial gallbladder.
Wow.
So sometimes they do grow back. So that it's called a remnant gallbladder. And so who knows, Curly, you might just grow one back.
That'd be awesome.
That would be great. All right, call us back and let us know if that happens. I don't know, does it start sprouting out the side, start to flower or something? How do you know? All right, who knows? Anyway,
I don't know, Steve.
Thank you so much for calling on that. Let's go with our third quiz question for the day, and here you go.
Okay. Why does repetitive dieting over time increase the need for more dieting?
Wow. All right, audience. I bet you have an opinion on that. Anna D. from YouTube, what are your thoughts about benefits of krill oil? Is there a best source of omega-3s? Is it the best source of omega-3s?
I think it's a really good source. it's hard to know what is actually better because there's some advantages and disadvantages, but it's like, for example, it's a little more expensive, but one thing that's unique about cod liver oil is it not only has the omega-3 fatty acids, but it also has vitamin A and vitamin D. And I'm not talking about the precursor to vitamin A called beta carotene, which a lot of people they're thinking they're getting their vitamin A from carrots or spinach when they're only getting the precursor. Has to come from like egg yolks, butter, liver, things like that. But cod liver oil has one of the best sources of vitamin A. So krill oil doesn't have vitamin A or vitamin D, but it's great for omega-3. So that would be my opinion.
All right, very good. Let's see. Let's go to Sharif from YouTube. I eat at 2 p.m. and 8 p.m., but often I don't feel hungry at 8 p.m. Should I decrease my fasting time so that I am hungry at my second feeding? She puts it. I usually eat a bowl of salad and 4 to 6 ounces of protein at every meal. Boy, that's some discipline.
Yeah, I think what you could do, especially if you're trying to lose weight, if you're not hungry, don't eat. Really let your body tell you when to eat, and also let your body tell you when to drink, not alcohol, but water, because you want to wait for the thirst and that hunger before you eat, ideally. But if you're like me and you're not trying to lose any more weight, then you would just, add that second meal, whatever, and eat away. But yeah, so I think I would kind of work with your body. You might find that these longer fasts are pretty beneficial. So it's pretty wild to think that a version of starving yourself, you're not eating, creates benefit short term, not long term starving, but just short burn. All these really amazing things happen. You grow new brain cells back. Your mitochondria start increasing in number. So we'll talk about that a bit after I answer this question.
All right, very good. And let's see, speaking of a worldwide audience, let's go to a great representative of Azerbaijan. It's Ganel. And Ganel, if you would unmute yourself, you are on with Dr. Berg. And there you go.
Thank you. Hello, Dr. Berg. I really appreciate your work. So my question is related to my weight. I am on keto diet and I really follow every recommendation you give. So my weight is like 50 kilograms now, and I would like to gain more, but my height is like 172 centimeters, and I'm always very tired. I might not be doing something right. Maybe you tell me, please, what I might not be doing right.
So your main complaint is fatigue, right? And you're on the ketogenic diet and you're tired, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm taking adrenal glandular. I finished one bottle already. I'm waiting for another arrival. It helps me a lot. I take it 3 times a day.
Okay, great. Are you were you not tired before you started this? Like, did you have energy before, but now you're tired?
No, I almost feel the same.
Okay, so you've always been tired. How was your sleep?
It's fine. I just work a lot, to be honest, like 12-hour shift, which is really tiring.
Okay. Do you have a chance to exercise at all?
No.
Okay. What part of your body is tired? Is it your eyes, your head, or your body?
It's my brain mostly.
Yeah. So the couple different experiments that I would do with this, because the brain gets its fuel from the blood, the ketones in the blood. It might be a good idea to get a ketone tester to see how well you're in ketosis. And then the other thing is that you might not have adapted to ketosis yet. Because I think this is relatively new. Is that true?
My diet?
Yeah, this new keto plan.
The thing is that I sometimes break it because I go on trips and I can't resist croissant in Paris. That's why I come back and forth to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. So what I would do is I would experiment. I would have, I would adjust the right carbohydrates, and I would adjust the berries and your last meal as your dessert. Increase the berries just to see if adding a little more carb up to 50 grams increases your energy or not, because that's going to tell us what's happening to the brain. I think the brain just needs more fuel, and it does take a bit to do this conversion, especially if you're not consistent. So if we add more berries and not actual sugar, that might just give your brain a little more energy. I would try that first. The other thing I would do is I would beef up, no pun intended, your B vitamins, especially B1.
That's what I'm taking as well.
Okay, good.
Look at
Whenever
that
you're
lineup
taking,
back there. Isn't that something?
I'd probably 3x the amounts right now just to see if that doesn't increase your energy. And then also, I think I would, since you work a long time and you're probably in front of a blue light screen, which can really fatigue you through the eyes, I would change the lighting around your computer to make sure it's a full spectrum light. It could be right next to your computer. And then also make sure that you get to sleep a little bit earlier, and then go for a long walk every single day. Because I'm telling you, if I didn't do that, I'd probably be tired as well. Those are just some quick things I would do. And let's say you do that and you still are tired. Then I would highly recommend to get that metabolomic testing that I talked about in one of the videos, because that goes right into the mitochondria and you could see what's really going on. But who knows? You might not need to do that. Sure.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Get back with us, Ganelle, about how all that stuff works. And thanks for being such a great advocate of Dr. Berg's products. You've got them lined all the way across the back of the room. So that's absolutely terrific. And
I'll tell you, Steve, I am an expert at fatigue because I've been tired for so many years and I've tried so many things. And there's so many recommendations for energy, but there's certain things that work. And those are the things that I do videos on. And I don't tell people all the things that don't work, typically.
Well, you told us one, and that's chasing sheep around the farm. That apparently is very fatiguing. So I recommend to cut back on that and see if that works well for you. Let's see. Quiz question number 3 has been answered by our astute audience, and it asked, why does repetitive dieting over time increase the need for more dieting? And a 95% of respondents say diets slow down the metabolism and eventually leads to gaining more weight. 5% say diets create fat loss as well as muscle loss and increase hunger. Those sound kind of smart.
I mean, when I was in practice, there was literally every single person who came in with that just couldn't lose weight was on many, many different diets in their life. And so when you do dieting, you're teaching your body to be more efficient. So it's really not a slow metabolism. It's an efficient metabolism. So now what are you going to do? Because now you have developed this set point that you'll lose weight, but you never get below that certain point. Your body tends to gravitate to a higher level because it's really efficient. It's a survival mechanism. So way back in the day, it'd be great if if food wasn't available and you would be the one that would survive. But nowadays, it's not a good thing. So how do we waste energy? We have to create a very inefficient machine. How do we do that? There's some cool things you can do. I will be releasing a video on it, but it's longer fasting, of course. Cold therapy, I know you're probably not going to do that, but cold therapy causes your body to work really, really hard at getting hot to maintain this temperature. And so instead of generating more ATP. It generates more heat, and that is all wasted energy. So you're basically creating a tremendous amount of inefficient wasting energy when you do cold therapy. Now, say, well, I don't have a cold immersion tank. Well, get in the shower, get really warm, and then turn it cold, but just get half of your body to kind of get used to it, and just do that for a period of time, because that might be a way to kind of ease into it. But cold therapy is fascinating. It does more than just help with fat loss. But so that's one thing. The other thing is really adding that exercise to your fasting program, and exercise when you're in a fast. You might think, well, where's the energy going to come from? It's going to force your body to convert more fat energy, because you only have so much sugar energy that gets depleted. And that is a very, very good thing. And think about, well, just, you'll have to watch this interview that I did with this Dr. Ian Lake, who fasted for 5 days, ate nothing at all, and did 20 miles a day. Where did all that energy come from? He burned up literally 21,000 calories in 5 days. So, and he felt great, and there was very little soreness. So you can always lose more weight if you add these other things.
All right. That's very promising. Dr. Berg, here's quiz question number 4.
Okay, true or false? The lack of sun can put you at risk for certain types of cancer. We always talk about sun causing cancer. Well, what about the lack of sun? Can that increase your risk? True or false?
All right. And here's an interesting one. P. Taggy from Rumble. You have been my health hero since January of 2019. Thank you for mentioning that. What are your thoughts on grounding or earthing? Can it help with inflammation or promote feel better? That's interesting. Barefoot folks touching Mother Earth.
I think so. I just, I don't know a tremendous amount about it. I've read a few books. I've tried it. I like it. I think you should try it to see if it helps you. I heard a lot of great success. But most of my shoes are completely flat to the earth. I mean, I don't have any heels or anything like that. I don't even like wearing tennis shoes. I have these flat shoes, and I like it. And especially when you're walking on, even barefoot on the grass, there's something about it that you just feel better. I've also hooked up a grounding mechanism to my bed. There's a little thing you can plug into the outlet and to ground it. I couldn't say I felt a difference, but I think for some people it's a great thing. And this also might relate to a similar thing of EMF waves for your computer, which is just like you're being bathed in these electromagnetic fields. That's another area to look at too, to make sure you're not exposed to that. So you want to make sure you push your computer as far away from you as possible, and all the stuff underneath it, so you're not being bathed by the stuff, because that can create a tremendous amount of fatigue. And that can make a big difference if you switch that. But yeah, I like the grounding. It's very natural. And I think you can start with certain shoes that are like, I guess they're called barefoot shoes.
Great. Well, get back with us on that. Here is, we got answers for the true falser. The lack of sun can put you at a risk of certain types of cancer. And this is easy. 100% say that's true.
Yeah, it's true. You know, we always are fixed on this idea that we have to stay out of the sun because it causes cancer. No, I mean, look it up. The lack of sun can increase your risk of certain types of deadly cancer. You not only have the vitamin D that you need as a preventative for cancer, I mean, but to think about your immune system, that's your weapon against cancer. There's 2 different categories of cells that kill cancer cells. And both of those immune cells require vitamin D to work. So you can imagine, without the vitamin D, there's not enough food that you can eat to get your vitamin D. You need sun or supplements. You can't get all of your vitamin D from food. It's nearly impossible. So, so we need vitamin D from the sun, but we also need infrared. Over 50% of the rays are infrared, which actually helps build up melatonin inside the cell. It's called subcellular melatonin, which is one of the most powerful antioxidants. And look at the research between melatonin and anti-cancer, and you're going to find a whole bunch of things on that as well. So yeah, we need the sun. We don't need excessive amounts like you're burning yourself, but we definitely need enough sun, sufficient sun.
All right, very good. Dr. Berg, I guess you're just going to answer this, right? Is this need be asked?
Is it possible? Yeah. Is it possible to burn off 1 pound of fat per day? Because I always talk about the most you can burn per week is 2 pounds with a healthy body. And most people, it's like 1 pound. But what about 1 pound a day? You can do it, but you're going to have to exercise a lot, and you're going to have to not put calories in your body. You're going to have to fast. So, just when you thought you heard something crazy, Dr. Ian Lake takes it to the next level, being a diabetic and then adding fasting and exercise. So, it's amazing. You would think you would literally die if you did that. But running that much and then not eating, it's wild. So it just goes to show you that maybe you can do a version of that. You start doing more fasting, and then you exercise while you're fasting. So you want to work up to the point where you can do a really good workout and not feel bad. That means that your body is metabolically flexible, and you can tap into this fat. And it just takes training and doing it for a period of time. There's a real new interesting trend of athletes that are fat adapted, and that takes months to get into that state where they can literally burn 3 times as much fat as anyone else. So that would be a good thing to get yourself into. And one more point about that, especially if you're older, menopausal female, really, your fat may be not all fat. It could be, some of it could be atrophy that looks just like fat, in which case you have to build muscle. In that situation, you may find that you're plateaued because you're building more muscle, and it's going to offset this loss of fat. So it might not be a bad thing to plateau sometimes, especially if you're regaining muscle mass through exercise. So, and I know people are hyper-focused on weight, but I think it's good to develop more muscle, because the more muscle you have, the better, more mitochondria you have, the better is your metabolism, the more you're going to be able to lose weight. So it's not always a bad thing.
Wow, well, that sort of speaks to me. I eat like a little bird, just occasionally nibbling on field greens, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I believe that, Steve.
Absolutely.
I know that from your wife.
Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. So let's see. Jojo from YouTube, could you please do a video on treatment of Heliobacterica? You can say that.
Yeah, I've done that too. H. pylori. I've done videos on that. Yeah, SIBO.
Okay, so
I've done a lot of videos on that. So you could search them. Just go Dr. Berg, SIBO, Dr. Berg, H. pylori, and you'll find them. But I'm always updating videos, so I'll look at that. Maybe I need to do an updated video on that. So Steve, I had this wild idea. What do you tell me what you think of it? So as you know, AI is becoming really popular in ChatGPT. And so I thought about creating a Dr. Berg bot. So I'm experimenting right now. I don't know if this is going to work out, but I'm training this bot on all of my videos to answer questions as an AI Dr. Berg on the website. So that way it's not taking stuff from Google, but it's taking stuff from my own videos, which we're transcribing all the videos. There's 6,000 of them. And so that way, I don't know, either you can have my cell phone if you have a question, or just go on my website, ask me based on all the videos. It extracts the data and it tells you, and it has me actually talking. What do you think about that idea, Steve?
Well, I think it's great. There's no way to put that genie back in the bottle. AI is here and it's only going to increase. So why not leverage it until it takes over your neurons and, sticks you in a jar?
Right. I know. It's scary. It's literally scary.
Well, it is, but I think it's a great idea, especially if you can sequester it to your content and not.
That's the key. Yeah. That's the thing is like, I don't want all this. I don't really trust the data that it's telling me now. I mean, I know it's just making up crap from other things I've asked. I'm like, wait a second, that's absolutely not true. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I'm programmed whatever to give certain messages if I don't know. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you.
That's a great idea. Why not? Good luck trying to shut it down. I can't do that, Dr. Berg. Anyway, let's have a marathon with social media by going this time to Miranda from Facebook with an interesting question. What are your thoughts about eating according to your blood type? Are there some people who do better eating meat or vegetables than others? And is that because of their distinctive blood type?
I totally agree that some people do better on different diets. But I don't think it's based on your blood type. I think it's based on a bit on your genetics, and your individual variables, which can include your age, your digestion, your past history of what you did to your body. There's a lot of different factors. Your environment. So certain people need more of this or more of that. So it's very, very hard because when you do research on this topic, all the research on diet is based on certain populations or groups. But it's really hard to tell what everyone needs as a group. And that's why I've done several videos on this new planetary health diet that they want to do and get the entire population in one diet, which is based on complete rubbish. Like it's all observational studies, which are designed to develop hypothesis, not to determine what the planet needs to eat. So they're using that to get everyone on this certain diet, which you can have about half of an ounce of beef per day, or maybe a fifth of an egg or a fourth of a slice of bacon. I mean, like that is not enough protein to have our bodies survive on. But we can have 800 calories grains, okay? And we can also have our omega-6 fatty acid oils or seed oils, and we can also have 7.5 grams of sugar per day. And it's probably not a coincidence that the strategic partner is Nestle.
So 2 ho-hos after a meal. That's terrific. Let's see. We got a little time left. How about Jessica is suffering from fibroids, and she wants to know how she can reduce or eliminate uterine fibroids without surgery. Is there any way to help her?
What I would do is I'd probably eliminate all dairy right off the bat because there could be a hormonal factor. I would also get on a low-carb diet because insulin is an anabolic hormone that can increase it. And then I would also beef up, no pun intended, your cruciferous vegetables because there's certain factors in those vegetables that could potentially help you, especially if there's an estrogenic effect.
Wow. Well, Doc, I think it's time for us to play the closing music jingle.
I really appreciate all of your attention. I hope you guys gave me feedback. I'm going to read once we're done all the comments. Have a wonderful weekend. See you next week, same time, same place.